What's up, YouTube fam, and welcome back to VikToks, where we explore and react to some of the craziest content on the internet. I'm your host, Vic, and some of the stuff I have for you today is pretty out of this world. But before we get into that, remember to smash that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you want to get some new content. I'll be trying to release every day, so we'll see how that goes. So without further ado, let's get it to.
Husband casts a voodoo spell on wife, turning her into half cow, half human after she cheats on him.
Mama. Mimi msiongee. Huyu yupo kazini huyu.
I don't know about that, dude. That's wild.
So Everyone Knows True, Part 1. Everyone knows the story of the man that invented an engine that ran on nothing but water that supposedly was able to go 845 miles between Phillips.
Yeah, I remember this.
Somebody from the oil and gas industry got upset and got this guy whacked off basically in broad daylight. They poisoned him and found unalived. I'm going to take it a step further on this. Not only do I think oil and gas industries are doing everything they can to stop people from inventing things like this, I think they're also stopping the advancement of just regular combustion engines and their mileage. I find it very strange that outside of going to a hybrid or an electric vehicle, that the overall gas mileage of engines really has not changed in many, many decades. Considering how much things have gotten advanced in everything else in society, I don't think it's really that possible that there's no way big companies like Toyota or Honda or Ford can't find a way to have an engine that's not a hybrid or electric that can add more mileage to a vehicle. But everyone knows this is true, and this is another thing that nobody steps up and does anything about because they're scared they're also going to go get whacked off.
That's a good point, you know.
There's obviously a ton of conspiracies about Michael Jackson, but in my opinion, one of the most interesting ones, if not a little ridiculous, is that this is what he actually looked like. Hear me out. On January 27, 1984, Michael Jackson was shooting a Pepsi commercial at LA's Shrine Auditorium. Everything was going great until the sixth take when the pyrotechnics malfunctioned, causing his head to be engulfed by a fireball on camera in front of 3,000 fans. Now, he likely couldn't feel it at first, but as he made his way down the stairs onto the stage, it didn't take long for the stagehands to realize he was on fire. Aaron Faye, his hair and makeup artist at the time, said, quote, "This was someone I knew and he was on fire. By the time I got to him, all of his hair was gone and there was smoke coming out of his head." According to the hospital, Michael suffered second and third degree burns across his head and face. In 1992, the music video director that was filming his tour, Rudy Dolezal, was told that Jackson refused to appear on camera on days that he wasn't performing because on those days he didn't have a nose. Rudy went on to tell the New York Post that Jackson needed a prosthetic nose that took hours to put on using makeup and putty. In 2002, rumors were running rampant in the tabloids that what was left of Jackson's nose cartilage had completely collapsed. So what's the conspiracy, man? I couldn't figure out what it was used for, but there is footage of Michael Jackson being made up to look like an old man using makeup and prosthetics, and it's very convincing. Then there's also this Akon interview where Akon describes going to the movies with Michael Jackson and being shocked when he got there and a complete stranger walked up to him and started talking in Michael's voice because it was Michael, but he was absolutely unrecognizable. The theory being that nobody really knew what Michael Jackson looked like anymore because the Michael Jackson that was famous was just a mask. Now this is a real man named Dave, a victim of horrible burns when he was young, and Michael Jackson just kind of took an interest in him and took care of him. So at first when I was reading about this, I was like, okay, case closed, that's a different guy. But the theory points out that Dave suddenly became a lot more public and his appearance kind of changed after Michael Jackson's death, insinuating that Jackson didn't pass away in 2009 but instead resumed living under various assumed identities, easily fooling the world because nobody had really known what he looked like since the 80s.
Huh.
I just found out some really disturbing things about Ellen DeGenerate, and I'm not worried about that creepy sweatshirt she's wearing. But as we watch this video, the camera creeps inside of her house, and you can see that weird evil thoughts picture. I looked up the artist and he's into some really satanic stuff. And that's not even the weird thing. Look at this picture of Ellen sitting inside of her home. This is the picture that was right behind her. Now look at the letters on top. These are the same letters that you write out during satanic rituals. Look at this picture of her cutting her mother's hair. Now look at the picture above her head and try and figure it out. Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
They're forcing 6-year-olds to celebrate Pride Month. They've got them jumping and partying around in rainbows, whilst grown men dress up and crawl around in front of them.
The only incentive they have to teach 6-year-olds about sexuality is to indoctrinate them from young. If someone wants to be LGBT, they will discover that themselves, but forcing and pushing this idea onto children should be illegal.
Wake up, they're not even hiding it anymore.
The truth has never been top secret, but most people will never know nor believe it.
Dang.
Jesus Christ, the Adam and Eve video. I watched a video on that this morning. There could be a time where the magnetic poles actually shift.
This is science. They say that the last one was like 778,000 years ago and we're like something like 200,000 years overdue. But the Adam and Eve story, the theory of that is that it happens in cycles of 6,500 years and that it's a 90-degree flip, but 6 days later, or on the 7th day, it corrects itself.
Planet flips.
Correct. It's a planet flip 90-degree, and that because of it, the Earth essentially does a standstill. The sun will be basically stay in the same spot, causing heating like we've never experienced, and that the wind and the waters continue with their momentum. Because essentially the wind travels at approximately 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. So the theory is that when that event happens, it's going to be cataclysmic. And
Man, that'd be crazy if that happened. Like in our lifetime? Could you believe that? A flip like that? Whew.
One of the things I find most striking is the presence of Antarctica on ancient maps, because we didn't discover it until 1820, and yet it's on maps drawn in the 1500s with great detail.
Huh. Really?
Antarctica is one of the weirdest places on Earth, and from the very beginning, Antarctica has pretty much been a mystery to us.
Now what the f*** is it doing on a map drawn in the 1500s, which we know was based on older source maps when nobody knew it existed in the 1500s? To me, the obvious answer is we are dealing with the fingerprints of a lost civilization.
Interesting.
She exposes Mark Zuckerberg live on television.
Jay, you want to take off the hoodie?
No, I never take off the hoodie.
I know you don't. What's with that? There's a group of women in the audience that wish you would.
No.
Girls?
Whoa. Maybe I should take off the hoodie.
Take off the hoodie.
Go ahead. That's a company hoodie. We print our mission on the inside.
What? Look at that. Making the world open and connected. Stream, graph, platform, and this weird symbol in the middle that is probably for the Illuminati.
Damn.
All conspiracies contain a nugget of truth. Watch this.
About your conspiracy, brother. There aren't that many conspiracy theories anymore because we found out that all conspiracy theories, there's a nugget of truth in there. It came from somewhere. That's where it became a theory. And then it progressed to the point where it became a conspiracy theory because there was something there. See, in our industry, who pays you is who tells you what narrative you're allowed to use. And I'm not paid, so I own my narrative. Wow. So, if in media, somebody's getting paid.
I've got one that can see.
Yeah. All conspiracies contain a nugget of truth. Watch.
What was that, dude? What?
Have you noticed that in the last year, all your favorite celebrities are appearing skinnier than they ever have before? Doctors are all talking about right now that they believe it's because they're abusing a prescription medication typically used by people with type 2 diabetes, but instead for their own weight loss. Ozempic, which they can now get easily prescribed to them, but will have to pay $1,300 per month. There's a shortage in this medication right now, partly believed because all celebrities are using it. Being super skinny is back in, unfortunately, and the rich people can easily achieve that body and keep it if they just use this self-injectable substance. It releases a chemical in your body that mimics a hormone that makes you full much longer, have no cravings, and store fat and sugar in your body differently. Elon Musk, being the very brutally honest man he is, admitted to using it. People on Twitter were asking him his secret to weight loss, and he said fasting and Wegovy, which is Ozempic but with a different name. And while it will make you skinny, it infamously gives you a side effect called old Ozempic face, because it makes you not store fat in your face at all. So any celebrity you think got buccal fat removal could just be a suspect for being on Ozempic. Kim Kardashian is the biggest suspect to be on it right now because she lost 16 pounds in 3 weeks to fit into Marilyn Monroe's dress, which would undoubtedly take a lot of starving, or maybe she was just on Ozempic. Many accusations of using this medication to lose weight, Khloe Kardashian clapped back and said, "Let's not discredit my years of working out. I get up 5 days a week at 6 a.m. to train. Please stop with your assumptions."
Yeah, you know, I believe it. I do. I believe it. But to think, you know, there's people who need that drug, you know, kind of dirty.
This is America's most inbred family. From a small village named Odd, they are known to bark, grunt, and run away if approached by strangers. Twins, John and Henry Whitaker, had children John and Gracie who decided to get married, even though they were cousins. John and Gracie went on to have 15 children of their own. This has left the Whitaker children with numerous genetic defects and unable to communicate with the outside world. Filmmaker Leda first met the West Virginia family in 2004 to take photos for his book, Created Equal. He was met by protective neighbors with a shotgun, as they didn't like people making fun of the Whitakers. Leda returned recently to their broken-down home and raised over $45,000 to help improve their dreadful living conditions. It was later discovered that Gracie's parents were cousins as well. Tragically, this has led to many of the kids not making it through childhood, while others have suffered from heart attacks.
Dang, that's crazy. I didn't know that. It's like, it's almost like that's probably where they got that idea for the, which one? Is it Wrong Turn? I think it's Wrong Turn.
Did you know that there's something a little bit more nefarious about Beyonce's Dubai performance? The song is actually backmasked. And backmasking is when artists put subliminal messages in songs, only to be heard when they're played backwards. Check it out. After hearing Beyonce sing the devil's name 6 times, makes you wonder why she performed this song in this location at this point in time. There have been many theories regarding Beyonce Knoll in devil worship, Saturn worship, and riding the red horse of the apocalypse. So it only makes sense for Beyonce to be declaring Satan's name while rising out of the water, like the great beast in Revelation. Just 3 days before the doomsday clock was released to us, and the elites told us that we were this close to the world ending. What do you think?
Some crazy shit.
Yes, we do consume each other's blood on occasion for ritual purposes. It is used for a reason, and it is controlled where it's like, let's shed a few drops of blood and each drink it. He's much more haphazard and hectic and chaotic, where he's willing to just like cut his chest open with broken glass and be like, take my soul, let me bleed on you. It doesn't not happen, let me tell you. Maybe not exactly like that, but a version of that has happened many times.